大家好，欢迎来到我的节目。那么，在跟比尔·波特聊天以后呢，我们知道他寻访中国的隐士、各大名川，而且呢，还去很多的诗人写诗的地方，或者是诗人的墓碑，在这些地方进行祭奠，并且朗诵诗。他一般呢会从美国带上一瓶威士忌和3个小杯子，每到一个地方呢，他就倒上这个酒，一杯给他要祭奠的人，一杯给自己。给祭奠的人，他会洒在地上，然后喝掉自己这一杯，就开始朗诵他们的诗作，非常的有仪式感。他去过的地方很多，有阮籍的、李清照的、韩愈的、苏家我们家知道苏轼家里有3位，他的父亲还有他的弟弟都非常的优秀，还有孟郊啊、韦应物啊等等。去祭奠这些诗人，他的这个书叫做《寻人不遇》，因为这些人都已经去世了，他所拜访的是他们的墓地或者他们的老家等等。那么他还写过一本书叫做禅的行囊，禅的行囊也访问了很多的禅寺。那么他回到美国，回到西雅图，他回忆起他的这些旅行，我相信这些旅行都变成了这种可以携带的盛宴。跟着他，今天的他已经做了这个脊柱的手术，他说是否能再走路都很困难了，而且他今年已经77岁了，所以他觉得他很幸运，在他能走路的时候去走了那么多的路，去拜访了那么多的人，对他来说这些人都是他的老师，李白、陶渊明、苏轼等等，和很多的西方的汉学家一样，他也是爱中国的古代文化超过现代文化，他更喜欢古诗，他觉得这些古代的东西更能够让他有一种灵感。现代的诗，包括英文的诗，他都不太喜欢，觉得在现代化以后呢，这种现代味儿太浓了，而且呢，现代化也就是一种物质化，这并不是他所崇尚的。他所崇尚的就是一种自然的、天人合一的、返璞归真的生活。在这之前呢，他没有做手术之前，他还能够到美国的一些大学去做讲座，一年大概做2次左右。更早以前呢，他在旧金山上面的万佛城教书，教过2年。我们之前提到过，因为他书的影响很大，很多的年轻人受了他的书的影响，也去终南山想做一个隐士，但是做隐士是不那么容易的。他说就像读博士学位一样，需要有一定的学历起码你应该是大学毕业以后再来，就是说有一定修行再来做隐士。但是他说其实即使没有做成隐士，也是一段很好的经历，因为从历史来看中国的很多大师他们呢都做过隐士这100多年来都是这样的。所以呢，他觉得没有去真正的练成，有一段经历也是很不错的。那同样对他来说，他呢一直是一个居士，他更多的是从人类学方面，我们知道他的主修就是人类学，从人类学、从汉学的方面来研究这些课题。他说因为有了这样的一种精神的升华，这使他对美国的有些事情是不能忍受的。比如说呢，就是美国的一些排外主义和一些没有文化的人觉得 美国就是世界的中央，觉得其他的这个国家或其他的文明不需要知道，不需要了解。其实他觉得这些都是非常无知的。那么我们现在就来听一听他回到美国以后回忆过去的一些感受啊。这个对话是用英文进行的。So now you are in Seattle, near Seattle, and you close your eyes, all those travels, 空谷幽兰的 travel and 禅的行囊的 travel. When you think of these travels, how do you feel?
One thing I feel lucky to have undertaken those travels. I'm 77 now, and my suffering from a spinal injury. It's hard for me to walk anymore. But I feel very grateful that I was able to make those travels when I could and meet so many great masters not only in the Zhongnan Mountains, but also in many of the monasteries, many of the nunneries in China. Mm-hmm. There's so many women who are becoming great teachers now in China. I feel very privileged, and also I just also feel very honored to have been able to, you might say, Chinese culture has had such an impact on my life. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've had a chance to study and be a student of Confucius, yes, and Lao Tzu, and the Buddha, and so many great poets like Tao Yuanming. They've become my teachers. Mm-hmm. And one of the wonderful things about China is the preservation of the past has allowed me to travel in China and to pay my respects to Tao Yuanming, mm-hmm, to visit his grave, yes, to visit the place where he used to drink. And the same thing for Su Dongpo or Li Bai or Du Fu, any of the great poets. I've had this great opportunity to go to Shaolin Se or all these other monasteries in the pay, even though some of them have become tourist centers. I don't care if it's a tourist center or not. I go there for a spiritual purpose, to pay my respects to these teachers of the past who inspired my life, and I, write about it so that I can help inspire some other people here in America, and in China too. Yeah, so far it has inspired more Chinese, I think, and just the people think you are 功德无量 because this is some revive this tradition. You single-handedly made this happen. Nowadays there are more hermits. I think it's a good thing. I do too. I mean, there's always going to be hermits who aren't successful, and there's always going to be hermits who are dilettantes and just playing around at being hermits. But still, it's a great tradition, and it produces great teachers. If you read the biographies of all the great Buddhist and Taoist masters of the last 100 years, you cannot find a single teacher who was not a hermit. Yes. Every single Taoist hermit, every single Taoist master of any significance or Buddhist master, they have all spent time alone. That's, yes, where the great teachers come from. And the reason is when you study with a teacher, you become a disciple of that teacher. Yes. And you learn how that if you go into the mountains and spend time alone, you develop your own voice. Yes. You have your own words. Your own words come from you. Your own practice. You become a teacher. You mentioned that Americans are not interested in Chinese culture that much. America also has a Zhongguo added Taidu. America thinks of itself as the center of the universe. So why do we need to know about those people living 1,000 miles away across the ocean? So that's the attitude of most modern Americans. But that's not true of people who are educated here in America. Anybody who goes to college nowadays in China becomes very interested in Asia, in China, Japan, India, different parts of the world. I'm just talking about the average American, who's, yes, not that well educated. Yes. And basically, yeah, just xenophobic ideas. Yes, I know. So Americans are interested in China. The things that the Western people, like myself included,
Uh-huh.
love about China is the Chinese past.
Yeah, that's my second question. Why do you prefer ancient China to nowadays China?
Because modern China has never interested me. Because it's an example of a great success story, of a materialistic
Mm-hmm.
success story,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of life that I'm not interested in. And so
Uh,
that's why modern China doesn't interest me, and even the great literature that's being produced today and great poetry doesn't interest me, because it's the poetry of the urban tragedy in China that's taking place. Trying to just I'm not interested in American poetry either, that represents this modern way of life, and coming from it. And so
yes.
I've because I look at China as a great teacher,
Mm,
but I think the greatest lessons that the West can learn from China are the lessons from the past.
yes.
And so
So the talks you have done across the country are mainly given to those educated people in a college setting.
yes, yes, I
Yes.
often every year I give a couple of talks at different universities, and it's always to college students and teachers, professors.
You also taught at the Wanfo Shengcheng.
Yes.
How was the experience?
Well, it's a very unusual place, Wanfucheng.
Uh,
Um, and I spent 2 years there, and
uh,
it's probably the only place I've in America where a lot of Chinese people are living together, practicing spiritual life. So
uh-huh.
it's like an island.
Yes.
It's like an island, very unique. But it, it hasn't. Its influence has not spread very far beyond the island. It's very insular in
Mm-hmm.
its practice. Everything is oriented towards the understanding of a Xuanhua Fasher.
Mm-hmm.
If whatever Xuanhua said is what the teaching is,
Mm-hmm.
and of course he was a great teacher. And if you can follow his teachings, you couldn't do much better than that. But it unfortunately, my experience in Wanfo is it was very limited to that. I didn't see it as a place where a lot of great teachers were going to come from,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my honest view of it. Because
Yes.
everybody either had to follow whatever Xuanhua said, or you should leave.
Yes.
It was very dogmatic, you might say, not very
Yes.
open to different views, and didn't have very much contact with the community.
Yes.
Um, so, like I say, but I can't. But I admired the practice of the people there. Was so sincere, so devoted.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
I admired it. Admired what they were doing. It was not my way, but
Mm.
it was definitely a unique place in America that will probably inspire many people who visit it.